I'm Dave Dinkel, and thanks for joining me for our Transactional Funding for Real Estate Investors question and answer series. Today's question is, why do some closing agents hate transactional funding? While seasoned professional closing agents embrace transactional funding to get deals closed, there are closing agent and closing attorneys who hate transactional funding. These agents seem to come from a couple of backgrounds that account for their adversity to the legal and successful funding of real estate closings using transactional funding. The first type of closing agent or closing attorney that tends not to like or even hate transactional funding is one who is usually very experienced in traditional closings where the end buyer has to get conventional or bank financing to purchase the property. With these types of closing, the closing agent is under extreme scrutiny from state and federal regulators because of the mortgages being given to the end buyers. A goodly amount of the closing documents are disclosures for the buyer and the seller and hold harmless agreements to protect the closing agent. Mistakes by the closing agent can be catastrophic even many years later because of the non-intentional violation of mortgage statutes. So these closings follow strict guidelines that the agents do not want to amend, even for cash buyers who do not fall under the state or federal guidelines. In addition, the national lenders, banks, credit unions, savings and loans, so on and so forth, have intimidated the closing agents into believing that investors are not entitled to make quick profits, illegal flipping. So these closing agents stick to their tired and true methods of closing transactions that do not include transactional funding. Any type of closing agent that does not like investors doing transactional funding is one who does real estate closings as a sideline to his practice. I've called some of these firms, and their on-hold advertising message is related to their resolving traffic tickets, criminal offenses, and other non-investor related activities. The final non-authority on transactional funding seems to mess up deals is the attorney who represents an end buyer and who is suspect that every investor is a criminal and he's out to prove it. He requires document after document that almost has no relevance to the real estate closing. In one case, we had an attorney for the end buyer who wanted to see the closing agent's escrow account with our funds in the account before we would allow his client to send the money. The above are broad generalizations about our personal experiences and not meant to reflect on specific closing agents, title companies, or even closing attorneys. I suggest you get referrals for investor-friendly closing agents and deal with the end buyer's attorney as the issue presents itself. Thanks for joining us for this continuing series of transactional funding question and answers.